Welcome everyone, and now we are on to something a little interesting. So GA Villain made the first part of Disney vs. Marvel Villains, and then decided he wasn't satisfied with it. Not completely. That's part of why some of the remastering's been done. I've recently been informed he's planning on remastering the entirety of Part 1 that we just watched. And one of the things he's doing is getting these background battles into it. Because after he finished Part 1, Season 1, he realized that there were a lot of battles that he wanted to do that served the storyline well, that he couldn't actually, he didn't fit into what we just watched. And so these are little interquels that took place while all the other action was going on. And I've skipped halfway through the video because the first half was actually stuff that was integrated back in during the remastering. We had a look at we had the Queen of Hearts versus Red Skull, Scar and Zira fighting Wendigo, Demona and the Brotherhood of Mutants with Mystique, and Hades finding Avalanche, which, again, doing the whole Brotherhood of Mutants storyline, it was so much better once that was put in, and it made more sense with the fun we had with Avalanche, which isn't over, not by a long shot. The rest of this was all going on before the attack on the Forbidden Mountains, and some of it has distinct timelines as to when it happened, and some of it is just, it happens somewhere in that time frame. And then after this, there's one more video of background battles. So let's see what the other villains were up to while Hades, Maleficent, Loki, and Doom were battling it out. To start out, this one is going to go in round 3. This is Scar versus Kraven. This is before Kraven was turned into a Lion Man. You know, this would have been a very interesting fight. This is going to be a very interesting fight when it's put into the actual chronology. Because outside of Clayton, Scar is probably the best opponent you could have for Kraven. You know, because he's already got the footage of throwing a lion around. It just works too well. This is going to be in round 4.
We would do well to work together. Indeed.
They actually came up with the idea for the Sinister Six project. Oh, and remember when I said that I thought Anton Sevarius died for real this time?
My death scene.
Dr. Anton Sevarius.
Yeah, I was wrong. He faked it again. I'm sorry. Anton Sevarius never dies when you think he does. That's the problem with him. Okay. Now, the rest of these don't have a definite timeline of when they were happening. They were going on. So, this is McLeach versus Venom. It's fun because we get some McLeach. You know, he's psycho. I love him for that. I actually think his psychoticness actually gives him more of an edge than any weaponry he could have. Like, I think it drives him to have the will to do the impossible. Like, you know, shoot Venom point blank. But he must meet his fate at the end of the waterfall. Zira starts making deals with a nonsense. Oh boy, does that ever come back into play later. Anyway, fulfilling GA's quota of all the Gargoyles villains. And 73 Woodman, in particular, is a big fanboy of Anansi, and I can see why. Anyway, here he's fighting Kraven after Kraven has been turned into a Lion Man. Craven takes him out, or does he? And finally we have Demona versus the Sentinel. Yeah, my mind's actually still back with Anansi because, you know, for a one-shot villain in Gargoyles, he left one of the biggest impressions. I mean, he is already so wonderfully known from mythology. And he turns up, he's got this giant lair, this octagonal city. It's kind of like Utopia, and he has these wish-granting powers, and it turns out that he does gambits. He's kind of like a watered-down Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time. I'm sure I'm going to draw some serious hate from the Oncers for saying that. So that was the first part of the background battles. Let's move on to the next.